Comparative technologies and initiation of war. Making the comparative assessment of their and the enemy's military technologies, the sides of the unfolding Black Sea conflict made their conclusion on the timing of war. Russia had vast military potential consisting of the large professional land army and decent navy. The Russian army and navy stockpiled massive reserves of the weapons, equipment and munition to sustain a long, large-scale war. The stock was plenty, but consisted of the outdated materials of the Napoleonic epoch. They belonged to the pre-industrial fighting technologies. By the beginning of the 1850s, it was clear that they would become obsolete in a few years. They must have been either used now or become waste. It was the Russian urge to start the war immediately. However, with the outburst of the intensive fighting, the Russian industrial facilities were unable to manufacture sufficient quantities of weapons and munitions to meet the demand of the army in large-scale war. It meant that the Russians would have to provide the supply from the outdated stock. At the same time, the industrial facilities of Britain and France much outpaced the Russian ones and were able to supply the fighting army with the weapons and munitions according to its demands, changing the spent equipment and materials with advanced kinds. The technological gap between the Russian and Allied militaries tended to widen to a situation when the Russians are comparatively dysfunctional. In the military-industrial situation of the early 1850s, the Russian prospects to fight large-scale and intensive warfare in its technologically advanced zones were rather negative. It was a window of technological vulnerability of Russia that might be used. On realizing it, Britain and France turned to war. In my course, I teach to understand the technological balance in war, politics and business as a prime factor for the unleashing of hostilities. See the link to it.